Hi guys, welcome back to Unashamed Room 116, where we talk about faith, healing, and walking boldly in Christ Jesus. If that's something you like, subscribe to join the family. So in this video, this month we are going to be talking about identity and self-perception, and you're going to be diving into why do we exist. So there are many theories of existence, and I want us to go through them so that we end on the same page as we go on with the video. So number one, we have evolution. Evolution says that over millions of years, random mutations plus natural selection created increasingly complex and functional beings. And this does not make sense because the second law of thermodynamics says that in a closed system, things naturally go from order to disorder. And evolution is stating that things went from disorder to order without somebody doing anything. And that does not make sense, right? And then the second one, I'm just going to group the rest of them all in one because I feel like they fall under the same. We have reincarnation, new age, materialism, and chaos theory. So all of this do not explain how it all started. Romans 1:19 to 22 has something to say this. I think it's 19 to 23. I'm gonna read it in Message translation because you're just gonna see the reason when I read it. So it says, but the basic reality of God is plain enough. Open your eyes and there it is. By taking a long and thoughtful look at what God created, people have always been able to see what their eyes as such cannot see. Eternal power, for instance, and the mystery of his divine being. So nobody has a good excuse. What happened was this. People knew God perfectly well, but when they did not treat him like God, refusing to worship him, they trivialized themselves into silliness and confusion so that there was neither sense nor direction left in their lives. They pretended to know it all, but were illiterate regarding life. King James says, Romans 1:22 specifically, it says, professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. Like, I feel, and I think all of us can agree that deep inside we all know that there is a higher being than all of us. But when we refuse to worship God, then we become blinded to this fact. And we are left with, we were created, because we cannot exist if we were not created, like according to what we've just discussed. So we were created by God. You are not random. You're intentional. You are not just a happening of a big explosion. You're not just an effect of natural selection and evolution from weird organisms that evolved out of nothing. You were created with purpose. Somebody looked at this earth and saw that there is this gap that only you can fill. That's why we're so crazy when you say that you think we evolved. No, because that cancels out how important you are. So now the question is, why were we created? So why did God create us? Was he bored? No, he was not. Was he lonely? Now that's a serious question. But Acts 17:24 to 25 reminds us that God does not need anything. He says, neither is worshipped with men's hand as though he needed anything, seeing he giveth to all life and breath to all things. God does not need us, but he wanted us. So why did God create us then? Genesis 1:26, it says, and God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So that's a lot. that is a lot. Today we're going to focus on the first part, where God said, "Let us make man in our image and after our likeness." So we were created to reflect God, right? So what is our difference with other creations? First of all, we have creation. Creation is the land, we have the sea, and we have the air. That's creation. And then the creatures is what was brought forth from the creation. And God said, "Let the land bring forth, let the sea bring forth," right? And then now we have us. We can relate with God, we can talk to God, we can appreciate God, we can appreciate creation, we can worship God, and we can create. We can reflect God's image and likeness. God did not create us because he lacked something. He created us because he wanted to share something with us. His image, he wanted us to enjoy the creation with him. To look at the trees and say, "Wow, it's so beautiful," to smell the flowers, to look at the clouds. I'm not sure if it's also to look at frogs and say, "Ew," or we're also supposed to say, "Wow, so beautiful." But we were created to share with God his image, his likeness. So how do we do this? So Miles Monroe usually says that your purpose is inside of you. So us being able to reflect God is inside of us. It's inherent. Number one is image. We are made in God's image. God is a spirit, so it's not physical. We don't physically look like God. But the way God is, his capacity to love, to think morally, to think about things, the way we can reason, unlike other animals, that is image. And that way we can reflect God. And we are also mirrors. So when we are mirrors, meaning we can reflect God, but we can also reflect other things. But why would you reflect any other thing other than God, which is lesser? Why won't you reflect the best of the best? Anyways. And then we have likeness. We are made in God's likeness. So likeness is about how we live. Ephesians 4:24, it says, "And that ye put on the new man, which after God is created in righteousness and true holiness." Meaning we're supposed to be like God. We're supposed to be righteous, so that when people see us, since we said that we don't physically look like God, so when people see us and see our mannerisms and interact with us, they can see God, because we are also spirits. So we can recognize spirits. We can see, this person is so kind and I just feel peace when I'm with this person. This person is not judging. This person is kind. This person is generous. This person loves. This person forgives. We're supposed to be like God. We are representing him here on earth. So we have come to the end of the video. And so in conclusion, we're just saying that we're not accidents. We are not just by chance. We are intentional creations of God. God saw you before you were here, because you came from God. And God saw this earth and placed you here so that you can reflect him. You can reflect the King of Kings, the great I am, creator of the universe, the one who loves us the most, is most kind, most merciful. And there is a way that only you can reflect him, that I cannot, that other person cannot. There is a way that only you can.